Yeah, you wanna put that dish in your mouth.
Wish you could slide into my mind and make me mine. Push play rewind. Let's whip outside, and so am I.
Hi everyone, my name is Dylan B. Dickerson White. I'm Mr. Trans USA 2022, recovering from a little bit of a chest illness. So if you excuse me if I'm not my exuberant self tonight or as loud as I should be, I'll try to adjust some volume settings there. But we are here tonight with our Miss Trans New York, Alicia Love Williams, and I'm really excited just to kind of get to know because obviously when you're representing New York, that's a huge deal, right? And just because I've known Alicia from this area in my neck of the woods as well. So I'd love to talk about some of those differences that we're seeing in New York, DC, things like that. So without further ado, I think the best thing would be to have Alicia introduce herself a little bit, tell everyone what she's about, what she's aiming for with Trans USA. So I'll bring her in right now. Hi.
Hi. Hey.
So yeah, let's start with the basic stuff. Tell everybody, what you're about, why you're running for Trans USA, the simple
So
things.
my name so my name is Alicia Love Williams. I am the current Miss Trans New York. And the reason why I want to run for Miss Trans USA is because I am very big on advocating and being visible and just being at the forefront of trans issues and trans topics. So that is why I want to run for Miss Trans USA to be more visible and to just let people know that we're here and we're beautiful.
I mean, you can tell you've done this before, right? Because I mean, that's just perfect too. Because that's exactly what the pageant system is about. It's a little different than stuff
Hmm.
that we were doing because we're both entertainers. We know that like that's always a talent in a pageant. So you're thinking that this is something completely different. So I wanted to ask you, how does it feel when you're trying to prepare for a pageant when that big talent category is not there?
Well, before you guys took the talent out, I was excited because I love to perform. So talent is one of like the most stressful categories, but one of the most rewarding categories because it's all about what you leave on the stage. But overall, even without the talent category, I'm still excited just to be among all my sisters and brothers and just to have fun and show out. So
Yeah, because I mean, those are the most fun. We don't realize like the parties, that go on and being with everybody else together. Those are like sometimes even more fun than what you're doing on stage.
mhm.
Uh, and I think that kind of leads me into what you were talking about being more visible and working with the community. Because I know you were down here for a while in the DC
Yes.
area, and we had like crossed paths a little bit, but not much. And I kind of wanted to know how does it feel different being trans in New York versus DC?
It's very different. So I don't know if a lot of people know, but I am originally from DC. So I am a Washingtonian. So I was born and raised in DC. So that's where I started my entertainment and um, performing career as Ziegfeld Secrets with
Well,
Christina Kelly. It's not there anymore, but
you know,
that was
oh, Christina.
amazing. Yeah. Because you know Christina Kelly too?
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
I know. We go
She's
way back.
amazing.
She's a wonderful human. One of the people who's always supported us too in our community. So I think that's. But R.I.P. to Sigfields and Secrets.
Yes, RIP. But to answer your question, it's very different because DC was more of like you can go to the gig, you have enough space, you have room, you can, chill. But New York is most of the clubs don't really have big dressing rooms. So it's kind of like you have to kind of like adapt to the environment, but still be able to perform when you go on stage. So, and then New York, they never sleep. Everything's always like busy, busy, busy. So it's very different. I would consider DC, even though it's like a different like place to go, it feels more like the suburbs when you go to perform. And New York is very like the big city, like if you don't
It's
get in, why
fast.
you can get in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's performing up there. They don't miss a beat, and you're right too. Because a lot of those clubs, they're just in older buildings, and they're this tiny like row house type thing, and so your dressing room is like a closet for like 8 people, and you're
Yes.
just kind of like.
Yes, exactly.
And those are always the shows where everybody brings a back piece.
Well, the shows that I've been in recently, because I was in New York like 2 years ago, because I work at I was a former Lady of Asia. It was an all trans cabaret club. They have one still open in San Francisco, but I moved to California to work at the Asians F in Palm Springs. So I came back about like a couple months ago. So now I have like my own apartment and stuff like that. So people know who I am in New York City, but I'm trying to do more so people know more of me, you know?
Right.
So it's kind of like when you go to a new city, you kind of got to start over.
Yeah. Like, and it feels like, you're always like every time you move, you're right. You have to like kind of reinvent and put something new out there about yourself. And I think, this is a really good way to do that, because you've always kind of, even from what I remember, just being very visible was always been part of your big platform there. So like when we talk about platform too, that kind of like threw a thing in my ear there, because so with this pageant, I know that you put this in your application too. And I wanted to let everybody know out there, if they didn't, that this year they put into this an Outstanding Advocate Award. It's a pretty special award, special prize that goes with it. That is really going to be for the person in each division who, not just in terms of money, but in terms of visibility and the work they do for the organization. Any of the contestants are partnering who choose to do this with a 501c3 or to be declared a 501c3 organization.
Mm-hmm.
And you've chosen the Black Trans Liberation, I believe.
Yes.
So I kind of wanted to just ask, like, for you to tell everyone about that and why that's important to you, because it would obviously, I should not be doing that.
So the Black Trans Liberation is a organization here that mainly focuses on helping Black trans women, because we have not to bring race, but like Black trans women have like one of the hardest times just living and being visible. Not saying that any other races have like less of a hard time, but I can only speak on me because I'm a Black trans woman. And it just means a lot to me, because it being Black but also being trans, like it just means a lot to me. I've been through a lot in my life. I've been attacked, I've been raped, I've had so much go on in my life. And when I see organizations like that just like will point the Black trans community, that means a lot. They help with like food, they have different like events. So I just want, hopefully, if I win, I can give them some money, because it would mean a lot. It would mean a lot to me. So.
No, and I think you hit on a good point there, and I didn't really want to thank you for telling everybody about that. And I'm going to try to put some links up when we do your video too, so everyone can see more information if they want to donate themselves.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we need to be doing, because like you said, you are right. And statistically, trans women of color are just targeted so much more and face so much more scrutiny, I feel like, and just more violence than any other portion of our community. So I think that's, if we are focused on any one thing, it's just keeping ourselves and our sisters alive.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. And so I wanted to thank you for specifically picking that and telling us a little about that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, I mean, I know that is kind of one of those serious topics, and we do talk about a lot of serious issues in the community, but we also are actual people. I think people need to know that. So one of the things I always like to ask is, what do you do? Like, I know you're a performer, and we know a little bit about you in terms of the work you want to do, but what do you do to relax? Like, once all that comes off and you're just at home and need to wind down, what do you like to do?
Well, I love music. So I'm always listening to music. I love gospel music. I love pop. So I'm always listening to music, and I don't know if you can see my sewing machine behind me, but I love to, I love to create things and be creative. So a lot of times I'm always like sewing different outfits and coming up with like different creative things.
I'm definitely with you on that one. Even when I'm off, I'm still thinking of things to do.
Yes, exactly. Because I want to grow as an entertainer. So for me to be able to do that, I have to create, different looks, different, and then I love to perform also because it takes me to a different place. Like I don't have to be myself. I can go into a different world. So
I absolutely agree. And for me, I have to ask you this too. So with performing, did you start performing before you came out as trans, or or was that after?
so I started performing after I came out. I was in foster care at the time I came out as trans, and I was 18 years old. And I started performing around like I could think like 20. So it wasn't that far apart. Um, so I guess you could say performing kind of helped me, become the woman that I am today.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was leading with that. Was it something that kind of helped you realize a little bit more about, maybe I'm not just pretending, maybe this is something that, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I think that is for a lot of people. So on that, another fun little question though. I locked my
Okay.
dogs out too. I feel bad because this is always a great way for me to ask this question because I just
Oh
throw
my
random.
God, it's so crazy. I have a dog right here and she's just like up under me, but she's not loud, so I let her
This
stay.
tiny little one, or
uh she's a um she's a Rottweiler. I
oh,
don't know if you
so
can
not so
see
tiny.
her. No, she's kind
No.
of
Oh, hi.
there
Oh,
she is.
this will
Her
get us
name
the
is
most likes of
her name
anything.
is Trixie.
Hi,
Okay,
Trixie.
she's done with the camera. She's a camera girl.
No, no, get away from me. My dog's the opposite. Like if I put my camera up, she will stop and pose. She's learned to do that.
What? You need to take advantage of that.
I've definitely, yeah. Like, can we sign this dog up for something and get some money out of this?
Right?
So the question was I always ask is like, okay, we talk about like dogs and cats and stuff, but if you could have an exotic pet of any kind, like a really weird out there kind of animal, what would that be?
hmm Um, oh my God, that's a good question. What's her jumping on me? Get off me, Trixie. Sit.
She doesn't want you to talk about other animals.
um, oh my God, I've never thought about that. Like exotic, like,
Or anything like just out of atypical. Like for me, I feel like if I could have an otter in my house or like a pair of otters playing with each other, like that would be really cute. You know,
oh my God. For me, to be honest, I would want a monkey,
you know what?
like a
I'm
little
okay
baby
with
monkey.
a little diaper around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And have things like around the house he can swing on.
That's you know that actually reminds me of somebody who had a monkey, like a friend of mine. They said he would love to watch Animal Planet, so I'm just envisioning like the drag house with the monkey hanging around, like
I
watching you
love
sub.
Animal Planet.
I mean, I'm a big fan of anything, just animals in general. National Geographic, I sit there and just stone or so away, watch stuff.
And then you learn a lot too, actually.
Right? Like it's so productive.
hmm
But so those are like, so I have to ask. This is really like kind of related. Is there any like guilty pleasure TV show that you watch that is you feel like you shouldn't be watching but you do?
Um, so this is one show that's on BET Plus. It's called Ruthless.
Hmm.
It's crazy. It's about like a cult leader who's like crazy, and he like lures people in with like the dream of like a better like place from away from the government.
Oh God,
And oh, it's good, but whew.
it's one of those like train wreck kind of things. Where like this is real life for people. Like
Yeah. That's why when I watch it, I'm like, oh, people really do be in cults and they can't get out.
yeah,
But it's oof, I can't even talk about it because
I
the
know it
show
gives
is
you the chills a little bit,
crazy.
right? Like
Yeah.
so, like, yeah, let's get away from the cult leaders because I mean, I set myself up with these questions. I feel like, so like, a lot of this stuff, like, shifting kind of back to like the community side of things, we talk about role models in our community and how we want to be role models. But I was wondering for you specifically, like, who were your trans role models?
Oh my God. One of my trans role models to this day is Giselle Bobby Royale. She's an African American trans woman. She's a showgirl, and she's won pageants on top of pageants. So she's like one of my favorite like entertainers. If I had to choose one, she would be like the number one.
It's like, because I feel like I've heard the name, and I'm really bad with like matching names to faces, but it's one of those things where if I saw, I'd probably be like, "Yep, that's her." So
Yeah.
going off of that, like, how do you think she has inspired you to be a better role model?
She's inspired me to just live free and do what I want to do and do what makes me happy. And also don't worry about, people that are going to talk and, you know, say things about me, you know what I'm saying? Because when I like followed her like her story, like she had a lot of haters, a lot of people that like just didn't like her because of who she was and what she represented. Um, so she just taught me to be fearless, strong, and resilient.
And
And also she really taught me to be more of an advocate because she's like a really big advocate. So that's
the
one of
big,
the
the big things.
amazing things. Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's just like you hit something so important there about like, you know, there's always these things we look for in role models, and it's always the things that are like, that's exactly what I want to be. And like you see that advocacy part, because it's
Hmm.
one of the things that I feel like, and I think that a lot of you girls and guys this year realize that's been missing from a lot of pageants and a lot of titles lately is what are we really giving back, and what are we really doing? So
Exactly.
I think that when you specifically mentioning all the things that you've been working on and kind of how you're trying to establish things up in New York, I think it's kind of a good way to ask. So if I gave you, and this was $10,000 to start your own project in New York. I don't have $10,000, guys. I'm just saying. What would you invest that in terms of a community project?
Um, to be honest, I think I would put it towards a restaurant. But a restaurant that does shows, but has that books all types of drag, but also on certain days we have an open kitchen for those who may be homeless or those who may need food, just to come and eat, watch TV or whatever on the big screen and play games and just feel wanted, feel like you're a part of something.
Yeah, and that's actually an incredible idea. Like it's almost like you're doing a restaurant, but using like what you're making to make it like a community center on certain times. Like I
Yeah,
think
I have to
that's
say restaurant because I'm definitely want my own drag brunch, but
right. I mean, so that's where like
but
the brunches are where the money, like the night shows used to be, but now it's like when we talk about bookings, I'm like the brunches are definitely where that's at the
well,
moment.
some cities, the night shows still be lit.
Well, I imagine New York is still like that, yeah. But I think DC has become one of those. Like, I'm sure you know the brunches here are kind of crazy, and if people don't realize, brunch here is like an Olympic sport. They last for like 6 hours, like,
Hmm.
and there's people doing like three numbers in two sets, and it can feel like a football game.
I don't mind because them 3 sets, the money be good.
Right. But no, I mean, I would love to see that too. So maybe somebody out there is going to be like, nice enough to donate us 10,000.
Okay, right.
Right, we're still working on those. But no,
Well,
that's what it's all about: getting your names out there and getting people to know like what you guys want to do, what the girls want to do, and everybody just kind of like, hey, I want to support that, and then just really getting to know
mhm.
you on that level too. So like that's a lot of heavy. Man, we're going fast. And it's on that note.
And
hmm, I
I
just
would say it's just when the conversation is good. Time goes by fast.
It really does. That's the thing, and it's. I think that what some people get scared of, like they hear the application. I know everybody reads it, and they're like this video interview, and everyone got scared from those pageant interviews that people had to do during COVID,
Hmm.
which were pretty terrible. But no, this is meant to be like more casual and stuff. So one of the other
I
kind of
love I love interviews. Sorry.
no, it's one of my favorite kind of things too, and I just kind of love just vibing back and forth with people and everything, and
Hmm.
uh, so like this is the question that I always have to ask other performers too. Um, we were talking about pet peeves like in other circumstances if they're not performers, but specifically for performers, I asked, what are your dressing room pet peeves? Like the things that you cannot stand without calling anybody out. Like,
Um, the only pet peeve that I have is when I see other queens kind of like, sorry, I had to burp.
oh,
Other queens, um, that like give shade to like another queen who's there because their drag may not be as polished or as, you know, at a certain level that they are. That
yeah,
kind of like upsets me sometimes because I'm like, we all started somewhere. And I feel like in those situations, you should be like reaching out, you know what I'm saying, or talking to them. Like, oh, hey, girl, you try this. This might help, this might help you out there on the stage,
yeah,
like stuff like that happens.
yeah. And I think
Oh,
that,
sorry. But
oh, it's
stuff
okay.
like that, did I pause?
No, everything's good now. Yeah. Sometimes
Okay.
there's a little bit of delay, but we're good.
But
Um,
yeah, that's kind of like my pet peeve is when other queens who are like at a certain level look down on the other girls who may be a little newer.
I'm definitely like kind of on the same camp with you there. Like I remember how much it meant to me when I was first starting, like 15. Yeah, I said a number years ago. That
Yes, okay.
yeah, that like somebody would reach out and treat me like an equal, and when we're like, as you know, this as like as we're fighting as a community to be treated like equals anyway, we should be kind of living that example, whether it's on the stage or off. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, so
Exactly.
I'm definitely with you on that. That and uh, like washing your drag. That's a huge thing for me
Oh yeah.
because we talked about those small dressing rooms.
Hmm.
No, but I think that's so how about out of drag, like, and I'm not talking about a pet peeve that's like really like a make or break. I'm talking about one of the ones like people they would, if you told them that, they'd be like, why do you even care? Like my partner does the one where he can't stand the sound of ripping paper and has to leave the room.
What?
Like it just,
Wow.
yeah,
Um, when I'm out of like my performance element, a pet peeve, okay, so I hate being on the phone for like too long when like no one is saying anything.
yeah,
Like when it's just like mute, I'm like that that irritates me. I'm like, you gonna talk or like
like
can I
or when there's like a call, like, but they could have just texted you.
exactly. You could have just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, because half the time, and it's one of those. It's like the work thing too. Your job where you're like, this could have been an email. Like you have a meeting, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
No, there's, and I feel like it's one of those weird generational things too, where like anybody over the age of 50, it's like they want to stay on their phone for about 6 years.
I don't know
We're all
why.
about efficiency.
Yes, very much. Very bad. Yes.
um, Now I'm just thinking of all the things I have to do with work. Oh God, because I was sick for a while. That's why I was like trying to.
Yeah, so you gotta catch up. That's the worst.
Yeah, we all talk about self care, right? So then once we leave that part, we're like, oh, now it's back to not self care.
Hmm.
So I think talking about more of the pageant itself, because I know that all the categories we talked about a little bit earlier. Is there any since there is no talent category this year, it hasn't been for a couple. What's the category you're most excited about?
To be honest, I'm excited for all of the categories. State costume, I'm excited for state costume because I get to represent New York City. Representing like anything I I'm proud to do.
Yeah,
Like I'm always proud to represent any state, anything that's positive. Let me rephrase that.
no, no,
But if I had to choose one, like if I had to choose one category that I'm excited about, I'll have to say gown.
yeah,
Because that's one category that you just can't fake it. Like it shows in the walk, and just everything. But I'm excited for all the categories. Plus question and answer. I love stage on stage questions.
yeah. And I mean, I feel like I kind of want to talk to, because that was really interesting with the gown. You're right. You cannot fake that, what the attitude you need. Like that's why I tell people to start practicing early, because you'll have to practice, and faking it during practice is fine. But like, I think one of the things that a lot of people realize too with this, and it happened for me, was once you get out there, because it's a different type of gown, it's a different type of like experience, and seeing that like response you get from people, you won't have to fake it.
Yep.
Like, and I think that, just I cannot wait to see whatever, because are you sewing your own gown, or are you having someone make it?
I have someone that is making the gown, but I am stoning along with some other friends and family. So it's gonna be, I'm all about the shine, the glitz, the glamour, the snatch body. Like I'm titties to my neck.
The full picture.
Yes, but that's when I go back to when I mentioned like gown. I fell in love with gown because of Giselle Barber. She's a former Miss Continental.
And we know how they do gown at Continental.
Yes, yes.
And some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Like a lot of the inspiration that I see so much come from that stage too.
So that's what I'm bringing. Continental flavor.
I cannot
What's
wait.
the chance you were saying?
Right. Like this is our version. Yeah. No. I
Yes.
mean, that's really how I kind of see it. And I'm still stuck on this this thing that you said at the beginning of this question. You said I want to take it more positive, anything that's positive about the community. And so, like, I will admit that a lot of folks, sometimes we all get caught up in this. We focus on a lot of the negative things that are happening right now. And I mean, there are a lot of negative things with these bans going on, with all of this other stuff happening right now. But if you could say, like, if there's one thing that's going right for the trans community right now, what do you think that would be? One thing that's positive.
Oh my God.
That is like,
that's a hard question because it's so much happening in the world like that frustrates me. But if I have to choose like one good thing, I would definitely have to say that we're still sticking together. We're still being visible and we're still fighting the good fight. And also, there's a lot of drag queens who aren't trans that are fighting the good fight with us.
Yeah.
Like Marty Cummings. She was a former Senate. She had a state Senate from New York City, and she's fighting the good fight with the trans community too. So I appreciate Marty so much.
And that's actually like one of the hugest things. Like even with all of this going on, it's really forcing us to, like, we have to stick together and band together, and it's getting other people to realize what causes, like, why this cause is important, and like people who are outside the community, getting us more allies. So I think you're right. Like, even if it's hard to focus on the positive, like the one thing we kind of have is each other.
Yep. Exactly.
And like that, yeah, I know. I'm starting to get it too, like that heavy, like this is a big kind of a thing. And I think that I just got to say thank you. I just want to say this to everybody that's been involved, but I'm saying thank you personally for, like, jumping in to do the interview even now and just being involved in the system this year with all of this going on, because it kind of puts us in that spotlight, and kind of puts us up to that, like maybe people will say stuff. So we have that going in our head, like, already. So people being brave enough to even represent these titles right now is something that means a lot to me and to the system. So just thank you for that. And to anybody else watching who's supporting us. So on the last bit, like anytime, the last little bit, the same thing I ask everybody at the end, to kind of shift this more to like back to us. I always talk about, and we talked about even in this interview, the projects we like to work on and the things we're passionate about. When we run for titles, we talk about all of the work that we want to put in and what we want to do for others. But if there's one thing that you could get out of the experience with Trans USA this year for yourself, what do you think that'd be?
I just really want to, I guess, spread my light and my love to the pageant system, to the pageant owners, to the audience, to the judges, even Milwaukee as a state itself. I just want to be visible and just show them that we're human,
Yeah,
and we live every day just like anyone else, and we have so much love and so much and such a big light to show and to give. So win or lose, like I'm just happy to be able to be visible as a trans person because now I feel like I'm really showing people that we're here. You know what I'm saying? And you shouldn't be afraid of us.
exactly. Just that positivity that you want to reflect to people, and just
Hmm.
kind of, I think that, you know, you saying that and knowing this conversation that we've had this evening, I think that that is not going to be a hard thing to take away. And just being able to be with you and everybody else there, I'm just actually really excited.
Yes,
It's
I'm
gonna
ready for the dinner too. I'm ready for
the
that
di-
dinner.
yeah, I mean, I don't know where we're having it last year, but this year, but last year it was an amazing, like one of Charlo's, the bar he managed, like the restaurant, all the Mexican food. I mean, it was amazing.
I heard it was good.
There's
I
a
love
picture
to
where
eat.
there's a chili margaritas or something that I had. It was quite delicious. I
That
mean, I'm
sounds
not advocating,
good.
so I'm excited about that and just being with everyone. And again, I kind of wanted to, as we wrap up, thank you for being with me tonight. Just wanted to ask if you had anything final words tonight you wanted to say with anybody.
I just want to remind people that every day is is worth living, and you never know what's going to happen. So just remember to spread love and spread light and just be visible, be you, and just be proud.
Yeah, you wanna put that dish in your mouth.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Alicia Love Williams, and I'm currently representing Miss Trans New York City. The reason why I chose this pageant system is because of the advocacy work and also the visibility that this system has. During this time, being trans is very scary, and I've always been a leader, and I've always been the type of person to advocate and be visible. So that's why I think this system is a perfect match for me. The work that I'm doing in the community as of right now is I'm being visible. I'm also showing up to different events to let them know that I am Miss Trans New York City. And I'm also doing charity work. I feel like that's important in our community.
Yeah, you wanna put that dish in your mouth.